Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Reefs Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
Welcome back to the Tracer Rounds podcast, and I'm Terry, your host. And tonight's voice is to Atticus Ray, and he is with American Thunder and Rhythm with Views. Welcome, Atticus.
Hey, how you doing, man? That intro has got me jacked up. That was great.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast tonight because you are such an interesting one. I don't even know how to unpack all that you're doing and all you have done. So you are a dancer and you're a real estate developer and you're a producer and you're a music video star. Like, where do we start?
You know, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
It was a cold night back when no, I'm just kidding. I got started young. I never thought I would be a dancer. Nobody rolls out of bed and says, I'm going to start dancing, tap dancing. It's one of those things where it just sort of happened. And I was in a small town. I was, young. It was just something that all of a sudden I was good at. And I started off on little pieces of plywood on the ground. It was my little stages. And then here I am today. So, wow. So it's always nice to start back at the beginning because, people don't roll out of bed to do this stuff. It sort of just happens,
Right. And so you traveled with a dance group for a while, for some time?
Yeah. When I got started right away, there was nobody who could actually teach it where I was at. So I started teaching, and I started actually with my first class. I had 4 students. I was a kid, and I had 4 kids that I was teaching. So I was a kid teaching kids. And that grew eventually into 12 locations and about 1,000 active students every week. Wow. And so then I had like troops that would go out and we would travel and do, fairs and festivals. And I got a lot of experience doing that. 200-300 shows a year.
That's a lot.
Going out with the classes and the teaching and the people. So I got probably all my experience from those years, to be honest. So.
How old were you when you started dancing, when you started going out? What age would you say you were then?
I started about when I was about 15. And then I started, my dad dared me to do the talent contest at the fair. And I didn't want to do it, so I was too shy. And he said, well, I'll pay you if you lose. I'll pay you the money if you lose. So I thought, okay, I'll tell as a kid, money won out. So I went ahead and did it, and I ended up winning. And then that's kind of how that really kicked me into doing the classes and other things. And but yeah, it was kind of a funny story. Again, I didn't really set out to be some competitive dancer or doing something great. It just happens. I think that's how life goes, right? Throws you those surprises.
It does. And so Kelly is commenting, I'm so excited about American Thunder. Thank you, Atticus Ray, for putting this together.
Oh, yes. Well, the what happened was, long story short, decided that teaching was great, but I needed to kind of work on my career. Everyone's kind of over the years said, hey, you're the modern day Fred Astaire, and
definitely.
I actually ran into a movie producer in a small town. I was at a festival and someone said, they're making a movie. So I went up and talked to the guy, and we've been longtime friends ever since. And it was his idea to say, hey, I've got these contracts with Amazon now and Apple TV Plus. We really need to get you on there. And that's kind of how Rhythm with Views got started, the first show that we did on TV there. And he's like, you've got such an interesting life. Let's just kind of introduce, this builder / dancer, and that's kind of how that one came about. So.
Well, let's play the little trailer so people can understand what we're talking about. Let me take this off the screen real quick so we can put this on. Here we go.
Meet Atticus Ray. He's a real estate developer from Tennessee with big plans.
There's a lot of flip houses out there and programs about that, but nobody's really showing people how to build their own home.
Instead of instructing people on how to flip homes, his aspiration is to help you build your own home.
If you're going to flip a house, you're going to probably use a lot of the same people. Why not build a new one and be in total control of what you have at the end?
On top of those plans, Atticus also has big dreams.
I am working on a production right now. It's not like the only thing I have to do is run and get wood.
Besides his real estate career, he is also one of the best percussion dancers in the world. That's right, it's HGTV meets La La Land in a new reality series that is unlike anything you have ever seen. This is the only show where big construction meets dance production. Welcome to Atticus Ray, the series, coming soon to Amazon Prime Video.
I think that just makes you happy. You just watch that and you just immediately start smiling.
Yeah, it's a lost thing. It kind of goes back to those days, hearkening back to those, times when things were fun, when they were just, pure and just good energy, and that's kind of what we wanted to go for. Something that you could sit down with anybody with, and there was something for everybody, which is hard to find.
Right. And so you've combined two very different things, but made it work. So dancing and real estate developing / building / remodel / I'm not sure what else, but how in the world did you decide to start dancing on lumber and things like that? Because it looks like that might be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, I would recommend you don't try that. Years of dancing, I'm always pushing the limits. And once I got around the director, and you get into those situations, there's like, okay, what can we do that no one's ever done? And that's kind of how that stuff goes. Now, what we didn't see in that trailer is, I was dancing on a forklift. I ended up dancing up onto a semi truck on the yard. There's a lot of cool things going on there.
Oh my goodness.
So, we're pushing the limits. I think that's what film is all about. It's trying to do something a little bit different. And I was challenged. They said, can we what's not been done. And as we looked at it, when you look at especially tap dancing, you've really only seen that on a flat stage, in a theater. Yeah. And the idea was, could we make the world our stage? And that was our approach. I think we did a pretty good job, actually. So.
Yeah, I would say so. Just from the little clip that I saw right there, I mean, I would say that you've danced on various platforms and made it work.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, I wouldn't recommend you just grab some tap shoes and try that. You might not end up with the same results. So
yeah, I would probably end up on the ground pretty quick.
Results may vary, right?
Yeah, put that little disclaimer out there for sure.
Yeah. Good luck.
So how did you start in real estate development? Because
let's be honest,
what did you do for a career first? You were doing the dance studios, and then then you transitioned to real estate developing, or where did you go after you were
for my whole life, everyone says, I tell them what I do, with the dancing, and then they go, what do you do for a living? So, it made me think early on, do I need a backup? And so that's kind of why I started the real estate was, what happens if, the dancing fell through or something like that, And so you start off and you do these things, and one thing leads to another and to another, and I just kept doing it. And I think that when you're, I guess, a go-getter or an achiever type personality, right? Everything you touch, you try to do your best at. So, so I just kept doing it, and it just made sense to not stop. And then my worlds just collided. And surprisingly, believe it or not, building and production work is very similar because you start off with scratch. So you have an empty stage or you have an empty lot, and then you have a vision, and you build that house from scratch using people who maybe you've never even met and materials you've never used before. And the same thing happens for a show. You start with an empty stage, you start working with people you've never met, and you work with talent to build a product that was never there before. And so surprisingly, they're very similar in a way. So.
Wow. So how many seasons have you done so far of the Rhythm with Views?
We're on season 1. And what happened was part of the plot line was we were going to do, you were going to watch me build a show or a house, and also watch us put together a show to honor the veterans. And as we have done that now, we've done their first episode, and we've been kind of reflushing through. The concept was so strong. It's such a good idea. There hasn't been a patriotic show in this country for a good 50 years that would, resonate with modern day veterans. And so we really started looking at that, and we decided to basically expand the Rhythm with Views into a whole new universe. And that universe is now going to be called American Thunder Show. Nice. And that will be a show to honor our country, a tribute show, a modern day tribute show, unlike anything before, with dancing and music. And we quickly realized that to honor this great land, this great country, and the 250 years that we've been a country, the only way to truly honor our country is to honor the veterans who made this a reality. So that's kind of why they go hand in hand. Yeah. And that's why we sort of dedicated our tribute songs to the veterans, and the show to our veterans. And we just really want to, bring them in on this project as we're going forward. So it is for them, it's about them, and it's about us. So that's what American Thunder is all about.
Well, let's play the American Thunder video, and then we can talk about it some more. Here we go.
Oh.
Something is stirring. It happens once every generation. A moment that becomes a movement. A point of convergence that redefines everything that came before and sets a new standard for everything after. Music, dance, and the 250th celebration of our country will unite to introduce American Thunder. From Atticus Ray, the dance musician who rocks like Jim Morrison and dances like Fred Astaire, and star of Amazon Prime and Apple TV's Rhythm with Views, comes the next evolution in how amazing talent captures the spirit of the greatest nation and allows our spirit to soar. American Thunder, a celebration of freedom, is a large-scale live music and dance production honoring America and the men and women in uniform who serve and protect it. Featuring original music, world-class performers, and a patriotic stage experience. All filmed for worldwide streaming. It's a show about the U.S. It's a show about us. Be united with American Thunder. And the best part? You can be a part of it. Stay tuned to see how you can be on stage and make history by performing and participating in American Thunder.
I think that gets you jazzed up too.
Yeah. I was just saying that I've seen it 100 times already or more, and it gets me jacked up every time. So that's turned out great. The director, Jeff Thomas, is amazing. The work that he does is fantastic. He's, like a lot of great directors and movie makers, a lot of times you don't know their name, but you would know the names of the things they've worked on. And
right.
He's done a tremendous amount of work, and I'm just so happy to be surrounded by just phenomenal people. And but yeah, that really captures the spirit of what we're all about. When you watch that trailer, it gets your blood pumping. And like I said, if you think about it, we haven't seen a good, honest to God, patriotic tribute type show for our country in a good almost 50 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
And we would really like to do something. And that's why I want to bring the veterans in early on. We want to get their opinions, their feedback, get them involved. What's exciting to them. It won't be a traditional old style, like we're going to war kind of one. It'll be more of a modern day concert mixed with the dancing and just good vibes and something that we can all unite and be proud about our country. So that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, Kelly's asking, how can you be a part of the show and what are you looking for in talent?
Well, this is going to be exciting. The neat part about this, we decided to announce the show early on because we're actually developing it this year as our 250th year celebration. And later this year, we're going to actually come out with Bring the Thunder. And that's going to be part 2. And Bring the Thunder is going to be a chance for musicians, dancers, singers, artists to, put their work out and be part of the American Thunder show. We'll have a sort of competition. People will be able to help vote and view on these things. And at the end of that entire run, we'll have the winners will be the cast and crew of the American Thunder show, which will be filmed for major streaming platforms. So it's going to be a really cool process to see roll out. And unlike a lot of other type contests, the winners actually get to be part of something that will be real credits on real streaming platforms. And we're super excited for this to roll out. So.
And remembered for a long time, I'm sure, because something like this, people don't forget. So
I hope not. Yeah, because we want this to be something that, that our generation ahead will look back and just, this to be our classic in the future, right? So
absolutely.
That's great.
So, we have a lot of veteran artists that we play on this platform. So I'm sure they would like a chance to see if they can be one of the performers, because that would be really cool if you had some veterans performing on the Veterans Tribute or the American Tribute. That would be really a neat thing to do too. So I think we froze. So we're going to play a video real quick. We're going to play The Rusty Cage by Atticus Ray, which is a tribute to veterans. So let's play that now.
You wired me awake and hit me with a hand of broken nails. You tied my lead and pulled my chain to watch my blood begin to boil. But I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. cold to start a fire. I'm burning diesel, burning dinosaur bone. I'll take the river down to Stillwater and ride a pack of dogs. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. When the forest burns along the road, like God's eyes in my headlights, and the dogs are looking for their bone, and it's raining ice pick on your steel shore. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I'm gonna break my rusty cage and run. I'm gonna break my rusty cage.
And there we go. That was Atticus Ray as doing a Soundgarden Johnny Cash version of Rusty Cage. So
Yes.
Soundgarden made that original song in 1992. Johnny Cash redid it in 1996, and Atticus Ray did it in 2026.
Yes.
So that song's had multiple iterations of how it's been portrayed, and I love yours. And I have to ask you, how fun was it to make that video?
It was fun. I mean, it was different. It's a lot more wild process. You like when you go to film, you think it's going to be real organized, but with music videos, it's a lot wilder. And but we had a great scene. We were up in Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio.
Okay.
They have wonderful sceneries and stuff there. There's a huge amusement park. We were able to go in there and do some filming there, and then back in my hometown, actually up in Michigan, Adrian, Michigan, and I was able to get some stuff there. And it actually came together. We did it in 2 days. It was a really power trip. We just 2 long days, did the whole video. These are tribute songs. We're calling them the American Thunder tributes. We've got about a dozen of them that are going to come out. This is the first of those tributes that will come out, because we want people to get an idea of the kind of music and the genres and the different things that we're going to be doing with this American Thunder show.
Yeah.
It will not be like an old tap dance show back in the day. It will be something very modern, very progressive, and something that I guarantee that you've just never really sat down and seen before. Just kind of like the Rhythm with Views. It's going to be very cutting edge. And but more importantly too is that we want to have this really potent message that, you know, unites people, brings everyone together, finds our common points. You know, our country is strong because of all the differences we have, not because of all the similarities, believe it or not. So that's kind of how we want to bring in all the different genres of music, cultures, and dance, and all of that to bring something very unique that only can be created here in America. Nowhere else in the world could we do something like that.
It's pretty amazing. And, you know, the music and dance are two of the things that really draw people together.
Yes.
So I think you're combining the best of both worlds there. And like you say, you're really putting a platform on to unite the country, because somebody can resonate with one of the songs or with one of the dances, or just where you are, where you're filming. It just all brings it home, because it's all about America, and it's all about,
where's the fun? They're so serious, where's the fun at? We're just trying to have a good time. We work hard, and people have forgot we need to play hard. Let's stop being so daggone serious. So this show is to bring us together, and the way that we do that is to let our hair down, right? So.
Absolutely. So you don't know exactly when the show is going to be aired, but
It will be. Our
recording.
goal is to be done with the competition by the end of this year, going into the beginning of next year, and then our plans will be to. We're already producing the show, so to speak. So by the time we have all of our cast and crew, we'll be at the point where then we're just practicing and rehearsing, putting together the pieces, and then of course we'll be able to watch that process unfold as well. So you'll be able to see the rehearsals and as it builds. And so hopefully the idea is like you're almost part of this, right? That you've been maybe voting some people in, you've contributed yourself by watching, and you're just now anxious to see the final product when it goes on TV. So and there's really not been anything like that. I mean, there's been things similar, but the contest isn't about look at me. The contest here is about an end result where we have a cast and crew to do something hopefully that no one's ever done, and that's really the ultimate goal at the end. So
Well, Kelly's asking, where can we register or sign up?
when you watch the American Thunder video on our YouTube channel, there'll be a link there to go to a splash page, and right there will be a form that you can begin to put your information in. When we go to do the competition, that'll all come out. We'll have a lot of information on where to register and get your forms and how to submit your videos and all of that. So we're not quite ready to get that going, but we do want to let people know it's coming, and it's in the trailer. So when it says it's for us, it's about us, that's the opportunity right there. It's going to be a show about America, from Americans who are most likely somehow from all over the world. And again, that can only be done here. There's nowhere else in the world that we could reproduce that except right here. So
I agree with you. And that's amazing. And I can't wait to see the production, to see how it goes, to see how the different things come together, the different pieces, and then obviously the end result. That's really where, everyone's going to be so impressed and so moved. I have a feeling, because I think it's going to be big.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on a crash course with destiny. This is probably one of my big things I'm supposed to do. I've been working and building, and all of these things are sort of adding up to this sort of big grand moment. And then of course it's all, I guess, happenstance. What a great title, American Thunder, landing on our 250th year. I mean, talk about all the points of convergence coming together. That's a real big one. And like we were joking earlier, it's just a 30-year overnight success. That's all we've got going on,
Right. Well, you have had a lot of success along the way, because you did get your name on the wall and backstage of the Grand Ole Opry, right? And you did get to dance on, and you did get to.
Not on the actual Grand Ole Opry, but on tour when I was performing with Ricky Skaggs and Holly Dunn, and actually the Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. And actually, I was one of the last performances that they actually did was one of the ones I was actually with them with. So
oh, wow.
There's a lot of connection with that. And I was young when that happened, and really left an impression on me that, if I could sign my name where this was in the Fox Theater in Detroit, Michigan, and Elvis's name was there. And
oh, wow.
Led Zeppelin, and there are all these names all over this wall in the back. And I'm just a kid, walking around, and then after we got done with our set, I had went away, and then Ricky Skaggs came out he was the headliner, and he's like, "Where'd that Clogger kid go?" And so he called me back up. I had already taken my shoes off, and he made me come back up, and we did this whole impromptu fiddle dance-off thing. I'll never forget. So, it's just kind of those moments that really shape you in a second,
Right. So do you do more than tap? You said clogging. So you did clogging too? Did you study in any other type of?
Yep. And that's our traditional American folk dance. Right. And then I started just, I guess once I learned that, I started teaching myself some tap dancing, and then Irish became popular. So I like, well, I'll learn that too. And then I started really trying to take like street type dancing, like jukin. I guess if you were to look at something like maybe like Michael Jackson, he got a lot of his moves from like street dancing. And so I've been actually lately combining that with the tap dancing and really trying to modernize this up into something that, has never been done before. So we're really trying to create some new styles that have never been done. And so it's fun to be cutting edge. And at the same time, you're putting yourself out there and trying some new things. So I think people will like it, though. We've had some good success with our research and practice. So it's been coming out pretty good. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're cutting edge with what you're doing right now. You're combining different styles together and making it work. So I would say that's definitely on the cutting edge of TV production, of streaming, of putting together this performance of American Thunder with all these different entities coming together and all these things colliding to make this grand show.
Yeah, it's exciting and thrilling, and you just got to hold on and let go sometimes, so just never sure which one it is. So,
right.
But yeah, no, and we're super excited that we could come on here and have one of our first interviews really connecting with our veterans proper. And we really want to encourage your viewers and your audience as you're hearing this and come across this to seek your way out into our socials, connect with us, follow us on the socials, interact through this entire process. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear what, matters to you, what kind of music really gets you pumped up. When you're deployed on duty, what is the song that everybody wants to hear? And, what is the music that ever is the culture? So this is important to us. And if you're sitting in a seat or you're watching this show when it's all said and done, we want this to truly resonate with our modern day veterans, the veterans here today, not from 1950. We want to do something that matters now. And that moment had its time. But like we've said, we've done a lot of research, and there just really hasn't been a proper tribute show, a patriotic tribute show for our country and our military and our veterans. And we want to try to do that.
And we're excited for that. The type of music that tends to get us going is some Toby Keith, American Soldier, and Coffee Anderson, Mr. Red, White, and Blue.
Okay.
We play Mr. Red, White, and Blue as one of our tribute songs for those we honor that have fallen. And so I don't think there's a dry eye when that song plays. Like it hits you right in the heart. And he came out with a song for female veterans as well. It's called You Can't Spell Hero Without Her.
Oh,
and it's
nice.
A pretty awesome song. And we play it for the female tributes that we do. So from those two, I tell you what, those really grab you in the feels, and they, they resonate with most of our stories and the way we feel.
That's what we want, because, and again, we want to harken back to the day of old. We want to have some resonation of that day of old, but we also want to have something that matters to people today, and the struggles they're going through today, and the feelings and the struggles and all of that could we maybe capture through our music, and just, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about veterans. It's just sometimes, a certain vibe will catch, right, or a certain feel or whatever. And so we're just open to putting it all together and keeping them in mind as we do it.
Well, I love that you're doing that, and I love that we get to be a part of the process and kind of, vet things out along the way, so to speak.
Great.
So, that's an opportunity for us, and we're really appreciative of what you're doing and what you're building, because I think, back in the day, before video casting and podcasting, they put out videos in movie theaters to really kind of get people engaged. And so I think if you throw your show, your prep all out through theaters, like they used to do, it'll get a lot of engagement that way too.
Yes, that's a great idea. And like I said, I mean, as everyone is just seeking to be, try something new all the time, sometimes we forget that, the old things work too, right? And so we're very open to that. But this will be a wonderful process of engagement and a chance for, as a lot of non-veterans, just our citizens, regular Americans. I've not really ever met any citizen American I've ever met that doesn't honor the veterans. Just often we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Often we don't know what that looks like, or, I've never been in the military, so maybe I'm not even going to say anything, right? It's not my lane. It's not for me to say anything or do anything. And unfortunately too, there's been, different, a lot of donation things over the years and stuff that, people aren't sure, how to authentically, reach the veterans or be sincere. And so we're hoping that this show will allow just anybody to feel like, I can do, this is something I can do, even if I'm just watching this show. It's something that now I can feel like I'm doing my part to say, yeah, I want to honor the country. I want to honor the veterans. Sometimes we just don't know what to do, but we all want to do something. And so we're hoping that this would allow everyone that chance to, maybe they're watching the show and they can say, that really reminds me of my uncle. I'm just going to call him up and tell him, thank you. Right. So sometimes people just don't know what to do. And we're hoping that maybe this could be a catalyst for people to rally behind, and get involved and show their support and say, hey, I love our country and I love our veterans. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Just things that bring the nation together and unite us under our flag and unite us as a one people. I mean, that honors veterans right there. I mean, just honoring the flag is so important to veterans. So just including a tribute to the U.S. in something that's honoring veterans is definitely the way to go, because most of us, I wouldn't say we don't want to be thanked, but I would say that we're kind of embarrassed to be thanked.
Right.
Because we feel honored and blessed to have served, because not everybody gets that opportunity. So we feel like, we're blessed to have it, that opportunity.
And I'm glad you said that, because I have noticed that a lot of veterans, I mean, they're super humble, they're not looking for attention, the most of them I've ever met, they're not looking for that kind of attention, they're almost, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but they're, like you say, they're not trying to throw that out there. And so again, this is that fun way where not only veterans and non-veterans, all of us can maybe get together, watch a great show, be part of a great show, honor our country. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. It can be just that.
That's awesome. So we were talking before the show, and I wanted to bring this back around because I think it's important. You were telling me why you chose Rusty Cage to do your music video or to perform. Can you tell us why you thought that was the one to do?
We initially picked it just because it's a great song, and it's a little bit of country, it's a little bit of rock, which is a great kind of breakout song because you can hit a lot of audiences, and who doesn't like Johnny Cash, right? So
yes,
a lot of pluses there. But then the actual title was just so appropriate because, really ever since COVID, I think a lot of people have gotten boxed in a little bit. Maybe life has kind of caved in on a lot of people. And so the idea that we maybe all have a rusty cage in our life to break, to get free from, to run, escape, get out of, whatever it is, is so fitting. Almost everybody I know has something. It seems like that they're trying to shed. And I feel like that's a time that we're in right now. And as we started thinking about the veterans, veterans have a lot, they carry a lot of memories, a lot of thoughts, a lot of things they bring with them. And so maybe they've got some rusty cages, things they're working through. And we just thought that's so fitting. Who doesn't have a rusty cage that needs to be broken and run from, right? And so we thought, wow, that's a real great title for just anybody. And hopefully for the veterans, they can appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're breaking out of those cages, it's all about mental health too. And
Yes.
and it's kind of resolving whatever issues you've got going on, and just, if you have to ask for help to break out of your cage, then I think you should do it. I think
Hmm.
there's no harm or no shame in doing that. And so I love the analogy that you use to break out of whatever's holding you back and
Yes.
keeping you down.
Yes.
Because with what you've done in your life, you were inspired and you just kept breaking to the next barrier. You didn't stop with, okay, well, I've toured with a dance company. Well, what can I do now? Like, what's next? You're always looking for the next thing that you could throw your passion into, because from where I'm sitting, you have a lot of passion in everything that you do. You bring your whole self to it, and
Yeah.
that really resonates with people because you can tell you enjoy what you do.
And I don't talk about it a lot, but I guess my origin story would be pretty fitting for the rusty cage. But a lot of people don't know. But when I started off, as a little toddler there, I started off in leg braces and corrective shoes, and I had actually, I had severe eyesight problems. I was cross-eyed. I couldn't see well. I'd literally run into the walls and stuff.
Oh, no.
I was overweight as a baby, and then I had asthma. I had 40% restriction on my lungs. So, like, I literally am not the candidate to be one of the best percussion dancers in the world. Okay. And so that story of overcoming has kind of been my life, to be honest. I didn't really see it when I was younger, but looking back, I guess I overcame a lot. And
Yeah.
so the idea of breaking out of a rusty cage, moving on to something bigger and better, I guess, has been my life story in a way. So,
Yeah, it's a story of resilience.
yeah, just never give up, you know.
Well, I think when you put yourself in a space where you're maybe not the most comfortable, but you try something, then you allow yourself to dream and dream big. Because if you always limit yourself and you're never reaching outside of yourself just a little bit, even, you limit your potential. And so by you just reaching out a little bit here, a little bit there, you've reached a lot of your potential. I don't think you've reached all of your potential because I think so many of us have so much potential we won't even tap in our lifetime. I think we have it in us, but we just don't tap into it.
You're right. We need 4 or 5 lifetimes, honestly,
Right?
to
Exactly.
reach it. But yeah, it is. It's scary, but at the same time, I guess I learned early on. It's also maybe even scarier to regret that you never tried. You know, so it's scary to try it, but it's scarier to think, what if I never try? And once you get your mindset on that, it's a little easier to go ahead and go out on a limb, because the what if is really what kills you in life. Looking back, regrets. Let's face it, most of our mistakes we've long forgotten.
Yeah.
The things that we hold on to are our accomplishments and our biggest regrets. So, but mistakes are typically, dust under in the wind. So
That's true. I mean, they're the stair steps to success. I mean, with each failure comes another success. So you have to have some of the failures in order to reach that success, because without those, you would never know what's possible. So you have
yes,
to keep failing and trying until you reach where you want to be, or maybe you never reach where you want to be. You're continuing to climb. So there's
yes,
nothing wrong with
yes.
that either.
Yeah, it's been an adventure. Like I said, I did not roll out of bed when I was 14 years old and said, I think I'm going to start a clogging career. It's not how that went, and it never goes like that. And so I would always encourage people that that probably your greatest thing in life is going to be an accident, a mishap, a happenstance, a coincidence. But I'm here to tell you, there's probably no coincidences. And so, those odd things in life, those when you run into people, the things you never expected are probably your destiny finding you. So,
Right, because I think one way or the other, it eventually finds you. It may not find you in the timing that it's supposed to because we've made whatever life choices we make, but eventually it comes full circle and finds you again until you embrace that idea or embrace that concept, and then you really are blossoming and showing, what's possible.
it's it's life's miracle, right? If we knew, if we actually knew what was going to happen, life would really be boring, to be quite honest. So, you know, as much as we complain about that, without it, we would hate it. We would hate it because, you know, it would be so predictable, so boring. We would be robots. So, so that's been the fun. It's been the tragedy. The tragedy sometimes is, you know, you look back and laugh on that. You know, that's life, you know? So, and I think this show is going to be a lot of experience. I feel like I've lived about 10 lifetimes. So, I think we're going to bring a lot of experience in and a chance for me to take a lot of that and hopefully put it into, you know, something that will, like you say, be timeless. So we're really excited about that.
Definitely. But I also wanted to talk about your after school program that you're starting up because I think
Okay.
that's so important because you're really committed to the youth and really giving them opportunities like you had when you started your dancing. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing there? Because I'm really, I think this is the most awesome thing because I heard that you were actually gluing taps on tennis shoes or on shoes
Yes.
for kids.
Yes. So I started this, like I said, I was a kid teaching kids. I've always sort of had a heart for that. I've done a lot of assemblies for schools and all of that. And I started realizing like really early on that a lot of kids would never come to my class. Maybe their parents could afford it or whatever was going on. And I realized that there's a lot of kids that would never even have a chance. So I said, well, I'm going to take it to them. And so I started doing these after school programs. I partnered up with the Community Action Agency and other, you know, boys and girls clubs and different things like that. And I started doing all these after school programs for the kids. And I realized there literally was not enough of me to go around. But I was just so amazed at what a what a pair of taps on a pair of tennis shoes and, you know, a little t-shirt on their back. And you could literally see the transformation, you know, from just this kid that couldn't even look at you to this outgoing person, right? All of a sudden. And I thought, wow, you know, just, you know, it was so little for me to create such big change in their life. And so as we do this show, what we're going to be doing, hopefully, as we go out to different cities and towns, is we'll be challenging different community members to rally behind us as we come in. And I would like to start an after school program everywhere I go and, you know, kind of give them the tools and get them started. And hopefully we can, you know, get 1 million taps for 1 million kids dancing around this country. And, you know, I have a suspicion that if anybody could help us do it, it would be the veterans. So I'm just going to throw that out.
I love that. Challenge accepted.
All right, let's do it because these kids need it. And anybody that has any kind of thumb on the pulse of our country knows that if we don't get involved and we start doing something right now, we're going to regret it. So I got a great program. The kids have more energy than they know what to do. And we can put this on their taps. And, you know, they say like less than 2% of all kids end up in sports, which means that there are 98% of most of the kids have no physical activities that they can do. And so what a great way to help change that. So we're hoping to do a great show, unite everybody. And when we leave a little bit of, you know, a little bit of history behind and a chance for them to have a program and something that now the show maybe comes to life, becomes real for them, becomes something that, you know, changes their life, exercise, fun, camaraderie. Who doesn't need those things? So
Definitely. I mean, that can get them to dreaming big too. And one day they may be traveling across the country dancing or
that's
maybe
right.
even something else. Who they may be
That's right.
singing and dancing, who knows? But
That's right.
you know, but you said that a lot of the kids aren't active physically. I mean, they might be, you know, doing book clubs and things like that, but it's not a physical activity that gets them moving. And so this
Nope.
dance would get them moving. And we need so much more of that because we're finding more and more kids sitting around and
Yes.
doing less physical things.
So
They're
inexpensive.
outdoors. Yeah.
You don't need a lot of gear. We don't need a stadium. We don't need, I mean, you could literally do it on the playground or on the sidewalk or in the gym. I mean, we don't need special facilities. You don't need anything. The taps glue on a pair of tennis shoes they've already got. You can go to Goodwill and get a pair of tennis shoes for real cheap, even if you needed it. So the idea is to eliminate any reason, you know, why they can't. Is it the outfit's too expensive? Well, we got rid of that. We don't have the right facility, not needed. We just need some music and a space, and these kids, they bring the rest.
Yeah.
They don't need, actually, and it's very visceral for them because most kids now have been on the digital stuff so much
Yes.
that when they get doing this, it's just so different for them. It's almost, it's an experience for them because they've never had that sort of kinetic movement and sweating and the euphoric feeling of accomplishing something and all of this in one, feeling, right? They're just sitting inundated behind a laptop or a phone or something. So
That's so true, and they're learning some music at the same time, like,
yes,
some of the old music is coming back, some of my kids
yeah,
were singing to some songs that I grew up with, and I'm like, "Where did you hear that?" "Oh, at the video game." I was
yep,
like, "Oh, well, at least you're getting some good music while you're playing," but
yeah. No, it all comes around, and we're excited, and so hopefully, yeah, this show is more than a show. Hopefully, it's a movement too,
yeah.
and at the end of the day, that's how we unite. It's not just a moment. It's not a ticket, and you watch a show and we're done. We hope that this can carry on some of our traditions and other things about that made our country great. So
Right, this could be, the tribute that starts, a tribute every single year, a major tribute, or maybe
yeah,
American Thunder is a tribute every single year going forward, and
yes,
more
I'll
people are.
accept that. I'll accept that one. Yes, I love it.
Yes, I mean, I think that would be so awesome, and I think, and like you said, having the competitions, I think every year it could be, similar to an American Idol situation where,
Yes,
like you said, you're judging the contestants and you're voting on them to see who should be part of the performance.
but the
I mean,
prizes is a real show instead of just a trophy, right?
right,
And they
exactly.
get to be part of something that is
Something big.
eternalized on TV forever. So
Right, for sure. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to just say anything or talk about anything that's coming up for you or anything we didn't talk about already that you want to
yeah.
put out to our audience, just so I want to make sure that I give you that time and space to do that.
I thank you, and I want to bring up
Absolutely.
something we're excited about. We're going to be actually going out and doing a American Town tour, which will be me coming out and bringing some of my band with me to do some promotional sets. It won't be the full American Thunder show, but we want to come out and actually start doing some bookings. And so we just want to tell the audience, hey, if you've got events coming up or anything in your area, this will be really a once in a lifetime opportunity. The studio is really going to be covering most of the costs, so my fees are covered. There's maybe some travel expenses and the musicians, and you can get in something that would probably cost a lot of money later down the road. So this town tour is our promotional tour, and we're excited about that. That'll be 26 into 27, and then once the show's done, then that opportunity is over. So
Yeah.
we maybe have 25 or 30 spots, and then we're done. So but anyways, that's all I wanted to kind of say tonight is just, if you got a spot or you've got something, definitely reach out, and we'd love to come and be there. So
So how do you already have some spots you want to perform and you want to tour, or
nope,
are you just
you-
looking for suggestions about a
yep,
good place
yep.
to perform?
Festivals, events, community events, anything where there's a good crowd, we're willing and open to go right now. And you're hearing the first announcement of it. So this is brand new. So
Wow, here we
yeah,
go. We're
yeah.
putting it
So
out. So I think you should
good.
come to Dallas Fort Worth.
Then let's make it happen. Oh, I'd love there. I'd love to go there.
All
So
right. Well, we'll
we'll
have
start
to
that
work
up.
out how we do that, but there's
Yes,
lots of places to perform here. You got Cowboy
great.
Stadium, you've got Ranger Stadium, you've got the different venues in Dallas and Fort Worth.
Awesome.
Cowtown, like Cowtown would be the perfect place to dance, but Cobblestone, you got to be careful on Cobblestone.
We'll make it work. There's so many workarounds, and I love your enthusiasm. That's where it all starts, and let's just make it happen.
Absolutely.
So we'll write that down, and we'll definitely get with you after the interview, and we'll start that process. So we're excited,
Sounds good.
and we'd love to come down and continue the energy of this interview and see you live. That'd be great. So
That would be awesome. I would love to have you do that. So, if anybody else is watching and they have a good place for Atticus and his group to come and perform and to be a part of that community, reach out to him. If you need help getting connected, I'll figure out how we do that and get you connected. But I think offering up neat places within the U.S. to perform is an amazing thing. I think you should go to Oregon too.
Okay.
And dance by Willamette Falls. I think that would be perfect. I think that'd be perfect.
You're going to be my booking agent here before this is over. What's going on? So.
Well, I've got lots of places lined up, believe me. So we'll talk.
Okay. I am looking forward to it. That's not, like I said, these things, you never plan them. They just happen. So.
Right. They just present themselves, and you just take advantage of that opportunity because, you want to, while the door's open, you want to step through it. You don't want it to close before you get a chance. So.
Well, good. Well, this was a great interview. It's one of the best I've had, I think. So I love it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being on our show tonight. We really appreciate you coming and talking about American Thunder and about what you're doing and about all the things you're doing to really boost this up and really make it the performance of our 250th anniversary.
Yes. Of our, I guess that's two and a half decades. So yeah, we're trying to make it count. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing more from you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And this is Tracer Round signing off.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.